Okay, good morning, everyone. Hope everyone can hear me okay. My name is Gavin from Monalo Media, and joined with me today is Andrew Sherrill from Early Creative. Say hello, Andrew.
Hello.
Great. So today's webinar, thank you for joining us. It's about how to improve your brand and get it found online. Okay. We're doing this webinar not because we're doing a webinar just for the sake of it. We feel we're touching on two very important topics: your brand and how to get your brand out there in front of your customers. And we feel that this is a very pertinent topic to the time we're living in. Okay, so how are you standing out from the crowd? Right? How are you attracting the right audience? And then how are you promoting yourself online, which is like the digital marketing side of things. Okay, so right now we feel that these are two very important topics for the times we're living in, and we're hoping to share some really good insights with you today that you can apply to your business. Okay, so let's get kicking off here. So my name, Gavin Halloran, Monalo Media, the chief marketing guy. Essentially, we help local businesses to find and reach more of their customers online, which is the digital marketing side of things. We work with various types of businesses, from home service businesses to local service businesses like restaurants and studios, and even practitioners as well in the health space. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I will turn you over to Andrew. The way this is going to go is that Andrew will speak first, and then it will come back to me, and I'll teach you on how to promote yourself online. Okay, so Andrew, let's take it away.
Hey, everybody. Thanks, Gavin. My name is Andrew Sherrill. I am the founder of Early Creative. We specialize in creating brand and branded experiences. Our goal is to help businesses take control of the brand and recognize their full potential. I've worked with various industries of all types and sizes, and I've found that many of these industries, they all kind of face similar challenges, some of which why some of you might be here today. Some of the challenges I've found that businesses face is that they're tired of working on their business and not seeking positive results. They're not attracting the desired customers they originally intended to seek. They lack a sense of momentum amongst their clients and employees. There's certain touch points appear to be outdated, and they're not communicating their business appropriately, or even their business seems to be taking a backseat in industry. Now, these are all challenges various businesses face in today's time, not just in particular now, but it's an ongoing. So it's really important to address these, and I want to help you tackle these challenges and see if there's any way we can create some solutions. So before we get too much further into this presentation, I wanted to really set the ground for what a brand is. We all have different definitions of what a brand might be to each other. There's no right or wrong answer. The way that I might say it might not be the way that you interpret it. But for the purpose of the presentation, I just wanted to lay the foundation. So it wouldn't be a brand presentation if we didn't talk about these essential key components that are representing brands. So when we look at each of these logos, we don't see just an apple with a bite out of it. We don't see a check mark. We don't see just a scripted text. What these brands have created is an emotion and an experience around these marks. That essentially is what a brand is. A brand is the emotion that customers associated with each of these companies and how they operate. So in other words, a brand is essentially what your customers say it is. And it is our job to define what our customers are saying that our brand is. And as established business owners, we have already started defining what our brand is. But the question is, how can we improve it? And I think that's why a lot of us are here today. We've already started our business, and we want to make sure that what we're doing is going to be continuing for the long run. So today I wanted to touch on a few ways in which we can improve our brand. The first way that we can improve our brand is getting curious. This should always be the first step when it comes to improving our business, because we become so familiar with our own business that we tend to forget how our customers are interpreting us as a business. So I mentioned customers because that's the first area in which we should become more curious about, is because we are really essentially in business because of our customers, and they're buying products from us. So if we don't know who our customer is from the core, then it makes it really hard to make the proper decisions in order to improve our business. So I mean, to get specific, like know who they are, what they do, what they look like, what type of brand they attracted to. So essentially creating a persona around this person that you want to create your business and your brand to attract. Um, so it's really important that you understand that in order to ensure you can gain momentum and recognize that your customers are who recognizing who your customers are when they come into your door. The second thing to get curious about is your competitors. These competitors are typically the people that we share our industry with. So if you're in a construction industry or if you're in a restaurant industry, you want to make sure that you're differentiating your business from them. And whether that's a direct competitor or indirect competitor, it's important to learn from your competition, such as what are they doing well, what are they not doing well, what type of market are they attracting? Is it the same market that you're attracting? And if so, maybe we can attract a different market that would really differentiate your business. And finally, it's important to ask these hard questions. So what are your core values? What are the goals that you have for your business in 5 years, in 10 years? Because all those decisions will affect how you plan on moving forward. What do your customers expect from your brand? What makes you different? And how much are you willing to invest in your current brand? Whether that's today, whether that's 3 years from today, all these decisions will set you up for evaluating your brand moving forward. And that leads us to the next step. So the next way in which we can improve our brand is evaluate where we are today and what direction we want to take for our business. Now, there are a couple options when it comes to improving our brand, depending on where you stand in the direction that you want to take your business. So the first option, if you're in a place where you feel like you really just kind of stuck and you want to take to the next level, the first option would be doing a brand refresh. So in other words, this would be interpreted as you see your wall, it is not working for you, and you want to put a fresh coat of paint on it. That would be essentially what we consider a brand refresh. It is updating the appearance of specific brand elements in order to ensure, while maintaining, the heart of your brand. So there are several reasons as to why you'd want to do a brand refresh. So this will help you create better consistency, update your essential brand components, redesign your logo, refresh your colors or typography, or update brand collateral. So just to give you an example of what a brand refresh might look like is taking this website from a healing tree massage that we did about a year ago. And in this case, the client was using stock photos, didn't have a really clear idea of what the icons that she was using. The colors weren't really representing her business accurately. So what we did was we went in, did some research, discovered who her customers were, who she wanted to track, and even looking at her competitors. And we established some color palettes. We created a font system that was more in line with what she wanted to, what her core values were, and just really cleaned it up and made it feel more modern and appealing to her demographic. I talked about two directions. So the second direction is a rebrand. So if you think about the brand refresh being the paint on the wall, a rebrand is essentially tearing down that wall and building it from scratch. So in other words, it's reimagining the entire look of your brand to align with your updated brand strategy, vision, or customer reach. So some reasons that you might want to do a rebrand rather than a brand refresh is if you're redefining your DNA of your business, structure, and how you operate. You're changing your business strategy. You're maybe targeting a different market, or even maybe you change your business name and you want your whole brand to appeal to that new naming and that new system. Or perhaps maybe you've never done a brand before and you want to start from scratch. A great example of a project that we did was for a tattoo shop. So this tattoo shop was And originally, before we did the rebrand, was a generic tattoo logo. It's kind of a black letter, very heavy goth kind of a look. But that wasn't the direction that their business wanted to take their brand. And they wanted to attract a more of a higher end female target market. So what we did was we cleaned it up and tried to think of a way that would allow their business to appear more to that demographic. And for taking that further, we established that into their entire business and their brand, ensuring that every component of their business and their brand identity was fitting that experience that they wanted to create and creating that emotion that we spoke about earlier throughout every component so that they would feel like they're reaching and connecting with their customers in the way that they wanted to. So I talked a little bit about consistency. So that was the next point that I want to bring up is in another way and improve your brand. So even if you don't do anything today, or if you don't do a brand refresh or a rebrand, or you just simply just ask a question, I would say the most important thing in doing improving your brand is to be consistent. Consistency allows you to take components in every aspect of your business and ensure that it is aligned with every part of your brand. It is important to be represented across all platforms, both on and offline. So what would be some of the values of it being consistent in your brand? It allows your customers to get to know you and your brand. It keeps your brand memorable. It builds trust amongst your your customers. It allows you to become more recognizable and easily identifiable. And it allows you to differentiate from your competition because you're setting yourself up for a greater success. So we went through all that and ways of improving your brand. Just as a summary, we talked about the challenges that many businesses face. We talked about getting curious and then that being the first step when it comes to improving your brand. We talked about choosing a direction in order to improve your brand, whether that's a brand refresh or a rebrand, or if you don't do any of those things, it's the most important to be consistent. Being consistent is what will set you apart from your competitors and allow your customers to create that level of confidence and trust in your business. So what is the benefit of all this? What is the benefit of improving your brand? The benefits of improving your brand will extend the life of your business. It will gain excitement in your business. It'll allow you to save money while dialing in what's important, rather than spending money on certain aspects that you don't need necessarily. But you'll be able to focus in on elements that will actually get you ahead. It'll have the confidence in your brand, effectively reaching out to your customers. You'll be able to move toward your goals quicker by making more streamlined decisions and having clarity in the direction of your brand. So just as much as it's important to improve your brand, it is also important to ensure that your business is getting found online. So that's when I want to pass it over to Gavin to share with you more on that topic.
That's excellent, Andrew. Thank you very much. So where Andrew talks about getting improvements in your brand, is it a refresh, is it a full rebrand, or is it just being consistent? Okay, yeah, that's the core part of the brand and your brand strategy. But now you want to get your brand out there and get found online by your customers. Okay, so it's all well and good having a strategy, but you need to get it into the hands of your customers. Okay, so a reminder here, we're talking a brand can be anything from an individual, like a coach. It can be a small business, accountancy firm, a restaurant. It can even be an online store, like an e-commerce store, a product. Okay, so it covers the spectrum. Okay, so what now? We've built our strategy. Okay, so we need to think about ways that we're going to get found online. Here we're talking about search engine optimization, search engine marketing, digital marketing. It all encapsulates into the same terminology. Okay, so I'm going to be using getting found online, your online presence, interchangeably throughout the presentation. So just keep that in mind. But it's all about marketing your brand online. Okay, so what does it look like? Could be something like this in the Google search environment. My company is down here, but I want to get up here. How do I do it? And it could be in the Google Maps. How do I get my company to appear here on my brand? Or something more specific, like this website called Open Care for dental practices. How do I get my company to show up here? Or even in the YouTube search, how do I get my brand placement in these sort of search environments? Okay. Firstly, we're going to take care of the fundamentals. All right, so it's focused on the foundations first. Right, your website is your lifeblood. Okay, so like the way the foundations of your home need to be rock solid, so does your website. Right, it needs to be really solid. So why? Because Google's going to analyze every single element of your website to determine how much of a subject area expert you are, and then rank you accordingly. Okay, so what's expected of you? What's expected is depth and breadth of knowledge on a subject matter. Okay, do you have a large resource area on your website, an FAQ section? Do you have educational and informative videos for your audience? Okay, so then Google's going to benchmark you against others in the industry, and it's going to figure out where to place you online accordingly. Okay, let's look at the 5 technical website essentials. These are the 5 essentials we really need to take care of, which are the foundations of your website. Okay, is my website fast? Does it load under 2 seconds? Is it secure? Does it have the green padlock on the top left-hand corner? Does it work on all devices? Does it have the basic SEO structures in place, which is pretty much keyword placement and tagging? And is it easy to navigate? Is it built for the user? Here we're looking at things like time on site and bounce rates and how many pages users are visiting per session, right? These are all important metrics which Google is going to take into consideration for your company or your brand to determine how to place you online. Okay, so then we're going to make sure that we're blending the UX, which is user experience, with the technical side. Okay, so as well as having an aesthetically pleasing and attractive website, you want to make sure it's ticking all the technical boxes, all the boxes that that Google's requiring of you. Okay, so you got to satisfy these 2 people, your user and Google, on the technical side, and Google at the same time. There are over 200 ranking factors. Let's take care of the basic ones first, and then we can move our way up through them. Content strategy. Okay, this is a massive topic in itself. Okay, we could really talk content for days and days here, but we're only going to scratch the surface. There's a really good content strategist. He's actually a local guy to Vancouver. His name is Tyler Bazoo. I'll put his name in the chat afterwards. He has a really fantastic way of helping you to create and to implement content strategy really efficiently. So really making it really using your time wisely. Okay, so you should check him out afterwards. Okay, so content means blogging. Is that right? So I should be blogging all day. I hate blogging. Yeah, most people have the same fears. They don't like the idea of having to blog all day, every day. Okay, that's not what we're talking about here. There is a difference. The difference here is when people talk about blogging, it's in an unstructured and with no purpose. Okay, so whereby having content and writing content and a content strategy is actually doing something purposeful that's logical for your user, and it's in a structured manner. Okay, and it has an end goal in mind, and it's also that it's written for your customer. It's not just written for yourself, it's written for your customer. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, so content and content strategy, why is it important? So we have our brand taken care of, we have the fundamentals. Now we need to get out there in front of people. We need to educate and tell our story. So content and content strategy is great for building trust and telling your story. Okay, so you got to have those things aligned. Why else is it important? It's also important for Google because Google wants to see fresh content churned out on a consistent basis, as well as that your customers want to see that you're active on the various different social channels and that you're providing information for them that you can help solve their problem, okay? There's the easy way to do it. You just keep it simple. So dedicate some time. You want to maybe dedicate like a 3-hour block once a week and just really focus on doing your content in that period, right? You got to build it into your calendar like you do other elements of your business, right? What medium are you going to use? Figure out what suits you best. Do you like to write? Do you like to do videos? Would you be better on podcasting, right? Are you more on a conversational side, which means you could do interviews with people? That could be your thing. Or if you're even on the graphical side, then you'd be using Pinterest and Instagram, okay? What platforms and channels and tools can you use? Okay, so if you are maybe a business coach or an accountant, you might use LinkedIn because it's more on the professional side. If you are a personal product or an e-commerce store, then you might use Pinterest or Instagram. Okay, so you need to see what's available for your industry and where your customers are, which will determine what platforms and channels you're going to use. I have some tips to get you started. Choose one topic per month. Okay. Decide on the core message and the desired outcome. What do you want from it? Okay, it's got to be purposefully driven, right? Choose your platform. Again, as Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. Okay, what you're going to do now is you're going to create one long form resource. Okay, it could be a long blog post, could be a how-to guide, a video series, etc. Okay, so one long form piece. Then you can chop it up into microblogs and create graphics and pull quotes and take snippets from it, which is going to add to the overall campaign around your core piece of content. Okay, and then make it easy. You can use a social media publisher to schedule it all. There's a free one called Hootsuite, which allows you to connect 3 different social profiles at the one time. Okay, so some tips to get you started. And lastly, map it out. Okay, map out your content calendar over the course of a month, 3 months, 6 months, and be consistent and stick to it. This is going to be good because it's going to satisfy Google because it wants to see fresh content turned out consistently. It's also going to keep you in check. Okay, a lot of people shy away from content and content strategy, but realistically, if you want to grow your business over time, be an expert, subject matter in your industry, you need to have a content strategy in place. Okay, the reputation, right? Your reputation offline versus online, right? In the offline world, your reputation is how many referrals you receive, how many different types of business partnerships you might have, okay? But in the online world, Google can't see that. So Google has to figure out a way to determine your reputation online, and it uses things like authority signals or trust signals, like reputation signals, okay? So let's talk to you a few of these. Okay, your reputation matters. Let's first consider the basic social profiles. It sounds obvious, but let's make sure you got all these guys set up: your LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Google My Business, YouTube, etc. Okay, make sure you got them set up. You have a few posts already lined up to go out, and your description and your details are all there. Okay, next we want to look at the trusted business profiles. So chambers of commerce, boards of trade, the Better Business Bureau, Trustpilot, to name a few. Okay, so yeah, the next one, then we're going to look at some industry specific sites. So trade associations, additional review sites, awards, trade shows, and other listing sites. Okay, so let's look at some examples here. For home service businesses, you have HomeStars and Trusted Pros. For lawyers, you have thelawyerslist.com. For counselors and therapists, you have bccounselors.com, okay? And even in the startup space, you have Crunchbase. So find the ones that are within your industry and make sure you're setting up a profile. Okay, so this is another trust signal that you need to tick that box, right? Once you have it all set up, be consistent. Sounds so obvious, but you need to make sure your information and your images are consistent across all the platforms. Specifically, I'm talking about your business name, telephone number, address, the category, and the description. Okay, you'd be really surprised at how many businesses don't have this information in sync across all the platforms, and it's just going to confuse Google, and it's going to hamper your search performance. Okay, so making sure that all your information is correct. This is important if you move address, if you change your telephone number, if you do a rebrand. Okay, just make sure all the profiles are in sync. Manage your reviews. Sounds obvious again, but you need to make sure that you are actually answering your reviews online, positive and negative. It's good for your customers to see that. It's also important for Google to see that you're actively responding to reviews. It's good customer service. And then you need to have a review strategy in place. You need to ask your customers for reviews. Okay? How can we improve our reputation online? Let's consider authority signals. What do I mean by that? An authority signal is how many websites, how many other websites are talking about your website? Okay, how many times is your brand mentioned online? Have you been featured in the news? Are you a contributor to entrepreneur.com or some other online resource? Have you been at a trade show recently? Have you spoken at a local networking event like the Vancouver Business Network, for example? Okay, these are all trust signals that you need to take into consideration. All right, so think in your industry, what are the common authority signals, right? And then seek out these opportunities. Let's look at some tactics now to help you promote your brand online. Okay, so seek out guest blogging opportunities. What do I mean by this? So guest blogging would be getting featured, writing a post and getting featured on someone else's blog. Okay, you'd be really surprised at how many people, how many companies, websites are actually looking for content contributors. Okay, the idea here would be that you get featured on their website, that you are there for their audience. This is great when you don't have an audience yourself. You're tapping into new audience. Okay, how do you go about doing this? Good question. Okay, go to the Google search. In quotes, write for us plus your industry. In this example, write for us plus photography, write for us plus fitness plus health, whatever your industry is. See, all these types of websites now are actually looking for content contributors. Okay, if you have time in your hands, you want to show your expert knowledge on a website, then you contribute to these blogs, and these are all valuable things to on our reputation and trust signals. Okay. Number two, create a piece of content that your audience desires. Okay, a great way to promote yourself online is to create a great resource that is gonna solve your customer's problem. This could be something easy like a simple checklist, a how-to guide, or even something more detailed like an ebook, for example. Okay. Seek out joint venture opportunities. Right? Who else complements you? Who else is serving the same audience? Can you join forces and run an event together? Can you join forces and do research and build some piece of content together? Okay. Where else can you get the brand and your name out there? There are Facebook groups. There are tons of these now, and they're very, very active. And podcasts are really screaming out for people to join. And then consider other online communities for your industry, right? Depending on your brand and the content strategy that you have, you could run some social competitions and some giveaways. A great way to raise your profile on certain social media platforms. Okay. Depending again on your industry, create a freemium product, which is having giving away a free version of your product with limited features, with the hope that people will upgrade to the paid version. Okay. Another thing you can do is check out what your competitors are doing. Okay, there's loads of great free tools out there, and one, for example, is by a marketing expert called Neil Patel. It's called Uber Suggest. What you do is you take the URL of your competitor, you put it in, it's going to spit back all the other websites that are talking about your competitor. Okay, so you can see, hey, they're featured here and they're featured here. What I would suggest is check out some of the links. Okay, my competitor was featured on this website. He wrote this article. I can do a better job than that. So what you would do then is you go away and you create your better article that's more informative, and you contact the author and say, hey, do you mind referencing me as well? Because my piece of content I've written is pretty good. And remembering here exactly what Andrew said as well. It's all about keeping it consistent and making sure you're thinking about brand congruence here. Okay, so everywhere from your website to your email to the online ads you run to your imagery, everything is just got to be consistent and in sync across everything. Okay, the slight inconsistencies is noticed by people. Okay, and it's just going to create that unsure feeling. So make sure that everything is in sync, consistent throughout your present. Okay. So bringing it all together. Okay, so you have a brand. You could be thinking about ways to improve it. You want to get curious, as Angie says. You want to do some digging yourself. Okay, then you want to consider, is it a refresh or is it a total rebrand? But the main part here is just to keeping it consistent, right? And I touched on 4 elements here, which is the firstly was the foundations, right? So you're getting your website. Your website really is the foundations of what you need to do. So get that sorted, tick all the boxes there with your website. Next, you want to look at content and content strategy, right? So dedicating time to doing it each week, but you're gonna see the benefits over the long run. Third, we looked at your reputation and how important it is to manage your reputation online and seek out other reputable sources particular to your industry. And lastly, I gave you some tactics there to help you promote yourself online. Okay. So I feel I probably bombed through a lot of that there very quickly. So I have collected all my thoughts and notes that's going to help you in getting your brand found online into a nice little checklist here. So I've created a checklist on what we're going to do is we're going to email it out afterwards to all the people who've attended. Andrew has also created a resource as well called Tools to Successfully Manage Your Brand. That will also be included in the mail out. And then lastly, we're offering a complimentary 20-minute discovery call here, right? So we realize that people have time now to work on their business and working on improving their brand and working on the digital marketing side of their business is something that people have time to do now. So we were offering a complimentary 20-minute discovery call with either myself or Gavin just to see where the opportunity is for people to go. Okay. Now we're gonna turn it over and field some questions. Okay, so I saw a couple of questions coming through as we were talking there, Andrew. So the first one is for Andrew. Okay, let's see if I can get this right. It says, Andrew, I'm not sure of the direction I want to take my brand. I have loads of ideas, but I can't really just make a decision on what I want to do here. That's what I get the gist of the question is.
Yeah. So it sounds like they got loads of ideas. So yeah, if they want to, a best place to start, like I said, just to really get curious, just think about how you want your brand to look and who you're trying to attract. So I think that's the best advice that I can give is just to really figure out the market that you want to draw to and give them that idea. That will really help you shape your brand in the direction that you want to go. hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, I think that's good.
We got a question from Naomi, who's saying, what is the best word to count for a long blog post, Gavin?
For a long blog post, apparently it's meant to be over 1,200 words. Okay. But again, I'll remind you that you can use that then and chop it up into smaller different ones. So the idea here is to make get as much value from those longer resources as possible. Does that make sense?
Okay. Another question that I saw there was, if you're not a writer, what are some ways that I can get my brand found online? So if you're not just doing blog posts or that sort of thing, like what are other ways? I think you mentioned them a little bit, but maybe you can just reiterate that.
Yeah, so yeah, a lot of people don't like to write, so other people would prefer talking on video. And even if you don't like video, a good way to do it is an interview style. So if you are interviewing either other industry leaders or your customers, and that might be a way, just because people are more comfortable with that conversational side, so that might suit people. Yeah, otherwise you can keep it all, I see a lot of business coaches keeping it motivational and quote based, right? So that's what they churn out onto their social media platforms. So it really depends.
Good. Hopefully that answers your question, Naomi. I got another question from somebody here that says, what is your opinion on templated websites? For example, Squarespace, Wix. Yeah, that's a great question. I can answer that one.
Yeah.
So if those of you don't know, there's lots of various templated websites available, which is an amazing time that we live in, that we're able to take websites and edit them and make them our own. I think templated websites are great if you're starting out. They take a bit of a learning curve, so it does take time on your part to do them, and it's great for DIY, etc. It's also a way. I have nothing against Squarespace, or I've used that platform a few times for some of the clients that I've had. It really just depends on your budget and what you're wanting out of that website. So if you're hoping for a more customized website, Squarespace will definitely not be that best option. But if you're okay with using a template that somebody else is using, or but obviously apply your brand elements to it, then that would be the way to go.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, Andrew. Squarespace be really good starter website. But if you're looking for something more robust, that is deeper, that is more different types of things on it, you need more flexibility, more features. You probably wouldn't be looking at a WordPress or even a custom built site. But yeah, like Squarespace is really good for the more basic sites.
Maybe it'd be interesting to talk about, like, how does a SEO aspect work on Squarespace? Is there challenges or downfalls of working with a templated website versus a custom website? Yeah.
Yeah, there's I'll say it again, there's less flexibility there really with those templated websites, because they're heavily built with code. Sometimes it's hard to to do much flexibility there. For sure, WordPress is the number one best in terms of search SEO performance. What I would say is they're getting better. The likes of Squarespace and Wix and Weebly, they're getting better at helping users manage the kind of SEO side, but because they're getting a lot of customers who are asking for it. And when their customers ask the questions, can you do this, and this, and they can't do it, then these people are defaulting back to WordPress or other platforms. So I do believe that they're putting in a lot of time and effort into getting them to be more flexible on the SEO side. Yeah. Okay, we have another question here. Can you comment on the social media platforms? Which ones are trending strongly? Instagram over Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. And where should one concentrate their efforts for promoting their brand? Do you want to answer that first, Andrew? Then I'll answer it as well.
Yeah, I think that definitely applies more to you, but I can answer it the best way that I can. I think as far as a branding platform, it really depends on what market you're attracting. So if you're attracting somebody that is going to be maybe a younger demographic or an older demographic, that's really going to determine where your customers are going to be. So if they're a younger demographic, they might be on Instagram or YouTube. But if they're more of a business-minded or older demographic, they might be on Facebook or LinkedIn. So it's really important to consider that first before you determine a final answer, just to find out where your customers are in order to ensure that you're reaching them.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think for me, Instagram is the platform that has the most momentum at this moment in time. Demographics do slightly differ between Instagram and Facebook. Instagram slightly younger, Facebook slightly older generation. Then LinkedIn is definitely on the more the professional side of things. So YouTube then is, yeah, if you're creating video content, then you're going to go for that. I think for myself right now, Instagram probably the number one platform that seems to be the most engaging, followed by Facebook, but then YouTube will be slightly separate if you're going to be doing video series and educating users through video. Okay, doesn't last chance to ask a few more questions and then we'll wrap this thing up.
All right. Anybody else have any more questions, or if not, then we'll just move on.
Perfect. Okay, excellent. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you very much for your attendance.
We'll be sending out an email to you guys afterwards with to check the checklist and the resource there. So feel free to, the contact details are here. Feel free to reach out to Andrew or myself if you have any questions. We're always happy to be able to, you can bounce some ideas off us or just get our opinion on things. So yeah, our contact information is there.
Yeah, like Gavin said, we're both business owners, so we are going through this as well and just learning how to continue to update our business. So we're in the same boat, and I just want to so yeah, like you said, if you have any questions, we're happy to answer and have a conversation. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.